jungler. But if it's at the point where he doesn't have the synergy yet, then absolutely. Being able to talk to someone like MLXG, make it work, that's the reason why he's starting in Game 1. You'd have to assume, as we get into Champion Select, Top versus RNG. And pretty standard bans coming out, so Rise, Alistar from top. On the opposite side, Azir and Kalista.
Yeah, Alistar should be the highly contested pick. We saw Ming grab an MVP on that one, and also Top has been first picking this champion, really important champion to Cat as well. Interesting to note that Rise was also banned out. Xiaohu has actually played Rise in all 3 of his games against IG, and during the interview, he said, okay, if you give me Rise, I'm going to pick him. He's that good of a champion. Then he later had to backtrack a little bit on his own stream. He's like, nah, I'm throwing it up. I'm definitely picking Veigar. You know, just kidding, boys.
That is hilarious. Well, they've taken that away this time, so he's going to have to show us something different. Maybe it is the Veigar, probably not. Kog'Maw will join the final ban for top, while on the opposite side, RNG will take away Jarvan for the jungle. So XX is going to have to bring something else out. And to be honest, when you see new junglers come into the LPL, it's always Jarvan. Their first pick is always Jarvan. It's always prioritized, so he's going to have to do something different.
Well, XX is actually pretty well known for his Shyvana play. He was also the first player to bring out the Hecarim during Demacia Cup, so there's definitely some surprises up his sleeves. We're going to see what he picks into. Varus as the first pick for Chocho.
What do you think about a first pick Varus? As in, like, first off, the fact that is AD carry priority, and second, that it's Varus.
Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting pick because Abel typically goes for more of the late game hyper carry picks, so it's definitely a lane that he can sort of punish. And also, I feel like Varus is just a fine champion. He's very good in lane. He brings you that engage potential as well. I'm okay with, like, first picking him.
On the opposite side, Camille locked in. I mean, no real surprise if she's left open, then everyone's going to pick Camille nowadays. Pretty much the strongest pick in the top lane, at least for the LPL. Doesn't seem like the rest of the regions quite have the same priority on her as we do.
This is going to give a very good setup for Mori. We know that one of the traditional counters is that Jax pick, so he could possibly slip that in and have a showdown in the top lane.
Ooh, that's an Ornn lock-in as well. That has actually been locked in for RNG, so both of them can't be top laners.
Yeah, this is really interesting because we've seen a lot of flex picking among these champions. So currently, Camille can actually be played in the jungle, and we have actually seen MLXG play that champion in terms of his streaming. So it's a possible kind of throw-off. So they might decide to finally lock in where the positions are in the second phase of the draft.
Maybe. That's definitely more LCK for you. I've seen some of that going up over there. Top will lock in the Gangplank, though, for most likely top lane. Tahm Kench as well, down to support, getting that priority for Cat. Braum is left open, however, if RNG want to lock it in now, because we'd have to think it will be a banned away on the next phase of bans from top.
Yep, currently the best champion pick we have into Tahm Kench is the Braum. If you're going Shen, or Alistar's obviously banned out, if you're going Shen, you can't really engage into the Tahm Kench, so Braum is probably going to be the pick here, and they also go for a very safe AD carry in Ezreal. This is not something that Abel is traditionally known for, but you know, the guy has the mechanics. He can definitely play this pick.
I will say that right now it looks like RNG are just amassing strong picks. Like, they have Camille, that's strong. Ornn, Ezreal as well. That does obviously give the chance for top to take away the Braum now to just avoid going against 2 super strong champions in the bottom lane. Zoe, of course, getting banned out. Actually, the fact that Zoe got banned out in second phase is surprising to me.
Yeah, if I'm RNG, I'm definitely banning that champion out, because a lot of the times when you're going, like, your first place team, going in against what's possibly a 7th place team, you don't want the additional possibility of Zoe just picking up a teleport in the mid lane and making a macro play that's unpunishable. I think that's the big thing about Zoe and why she's consistently banned in competitive. We've seen IG Rookie use that double teleport to instantly create a 4v3, 4v2 against opponent bot lanes, and that's just, you can't prepare for that kind of stuff. So I think it's a good insurance policy to just cut that out.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm still having flashbacks of that OMG game of Icon just getting blasted every single second of the laning phase. So glad it's gone and taken out of there. Malzahar, the first ban from top, followed by, well, we'll find out in about 17 seconds, but Rengar has been taken away by XX. You said he's a Shyvana player, so the fact that we're taking so many junglers away does maybe push him towards that direction.
Yeah, I'm also very interested in what the mid laner picks are going to be, because currently we see all of the big 4 mid laners being banned out. Azir, Ryze, Zoe, and Malzahar are no longer on the table. So the other picks that we've been seeing for Goon especially has been Talia, and for Xiaohu, we've actually seen some kind of weird stuff. You know, he's been trying the Veigar, he's been trying the Lissandra. So we're definitely going to see some new meta picks here. Or he could just play the Vladimir, which If he's going the Vladimir, this could still be a top lane Vlad Camille jungle and Ornn support. They could do these swaps, so
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure like where these positions are going to be locked
triple
into.
flex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a question that we'll have answered once it goes back over to RNG for the final pick. But Top, hovering over the Orianna, and to be honest, Orianna in this situation is very much a catch-all. It's just like, well, we actually don't know who the enemy mid laner is right now, so let's just lock in Orianna and hope for the best.
Yep, we've seen a very poke-oriented Orianna from Goon going that Comet, and it's always a nice pick into the Vladimir. You can keep in at arm's length, and he has a bit of trouble during that laning phase, but the Vladimir might not be mid, which is something they need to consider.
100%. Well, Orianna will do fine either way, I'm sure. Top, final pick was Sajani over to XX, so he's actually just going super meta instead of going towards his own pick.
All right, so Camille's definitely going into the jungle, and we see the Rumble in the top lane. Or wait a minute, is that a Rumble jungle?
There's still
Camille.
flex
It's
picks.
Camille. Yeah.
Okay, we're actually going to have to now wait this down until 20 seconds when everything is actually locked in, because they might actually just try and throw us off. But I think the Ornn should be support now alongside Abel's Ezreal.
Yep. All right, so it's kind of how I predicted it. It's kind of a flex pick where you do put Camille in the jungle. We've seen MLXG definitely practicing this pick a lot, and we've also seen it in the LCK, just like Pulse has said. This is going to create a lot of pressure on Mori. As a newcomer to the table, I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold this lane very well. They're at objective trades. They were just trying to find something to get themselves on the board, and that's been a huge issue for them.
And it's even harder when you have the crowd literally shouting RNG Xiao at you. So through your headphones, your soundproof headphones, you're hearing the arena erupt. So literally everything is stacked against Top right now. But honestly, we just need to look at these guys and see what growth they can show in this game, because RNG, what we're looking for them is essentially a 2-0. I think anything less than 2-0 here would be seen as failure.
Yeah, it would be very shocking, and I feel like for RNG, this is the time to test out their rosters. You know, they have 480 carries. You can bring Y4 in it for a game. You can let Karsa show his face from time to time, and just take it from there. So if we're looking at the screen right now, 84% of the vote going over to RNG.
Unsurprising. However, 16% is actually more than I would have expected from Top in there from the fans, but regardless, we'll start this one off on the bottom side for MLXG. First time I'm seeing Camille, at least in the LPL, in the jungle.
So to recap kind of what happened in the level 1, we saw, I believe it was a 4-man invade coming in from RNG, but on the flip side, Top also got some wards down into RNG's jungle, so both should be aware of these jungle paths. I think overall this kind of benefits Gangplank a little bit more, so just that he knows that he's not going to get ganked from MLXG.
It's actually funny that the ward just faded on the side of Top for the blue buff, as in RNG's ward on the blue buff, so I'm not sure if they actually know they're on top side. Regardless, it's not going to really matter to MLXG. My question is now whether he goes top lane with the doubles, maybe goes to a Scuttle Crab or picks up another camp and tries to pressure the lane. It does seem like Letme's actually pushing up though.
Yep, trying to get some information on the Sejuani. We've seen that recently Sejuanis have been going back to the Aftershock after you get the extra attack speed from the Resolve tree and the secondary.
Junglers are pretty aware of both where they are right now. MXG doesn't have the level 3. He didn't go for an extra camp. So Top XX is actually slightly ahead, though it's not really going to matter because Camille.
Yeah, they were definitely looking to leverage the pushing power in the top lane, try to get a flank off there, and that came out pretty well for XX. He's going to pick up 2 extra camps from that.
It seems like MLXG was just trying very hard to do something in that early game when maybe necessarily didn't need to. I understand trying to exploit your opponent. Like, MLXG is the type of guy who will get up in his face and try and mess with him, but didn't really pay off in the end.
MLXG is one of my favorite streamers to watch. He's so crazy that sometimes he actually turns around and becomes brilliant. He'll go for these extended level 1 fights. You'll see him level 2 at 4 minutes and still trying to get an extra buff from the enemy jungle. And that's just the type of guy he is, and why he's built up so much of a fan base for RNG.
I mean, he's one of the very few players you watch who makes a play and you're like, this isn't going to work out. Why did that work, you know?
Exactly.
And it's actually just so jarring for a lot of people who play against him because he just goes so deep. It's actually one of the reasons why I loved watching Cat last split, because the man is actually just insane. Like, he'll just run at you. Even if he's the only person on his side of the map, he'll run at you anyway and just assume that they have vision control so they don't just kill him.
Ooh, this is another under-leveled invade coming from LLG. He's done this twice now. Actually has a pretty high chance of being punished here if the bot lane can constantly shove RNG in.
Which they are doing right
Double
now.
knockup.
Ornn's going to get the double knockup, as you said, and Choo will have to back away. He's very low. MLXG, if he lands this, he's pretty much a dead man. That's a good save from Cat. Has to flash away. One for the price of 2 on that flash, and Choo is actually staying.
Yeah, that was a good hold from Cho there. He did not need to expend his flash, so can still probably hang around here.
But the poke is continuing. MLXG, is he going to be merciful? Looks like he's backing away into his own jungle to take his Grump. And bot lane will continue poking away, as an Ezreal was wont to do.
Yep, and we can see Abel now just picking up the mini red pot. This is something that can swing a lot of matchups when you're bringing Kleptomancy. It definitely tilts more than the matchup. Let's just leave it at that.
100%. I mean, it's a bunch of extra AD early. It lasts for a pretty sizable amount of time as well.
Yeah, I think it lasts for, I believe it's 40 or 45 seconds, something like that.
Scaling up to 90,
yeah. You can definitely get a level 2 all-in with that. And the fact you can just pick it up at level 1, I feel like it's pretty jarring in the lane.
Yeah, 100%. Well, for now, it looks like Abel actually went back to base. He's picked up his tier, which he really wanted to do. But Choo, it does give them the priority here to actually push the lane back in. Actually gives the CS lead over to Choo.
Yep. So far, I feel like Top has actually played this very well. They've throttled all the offenses that MLXG has been trying to do, and they've had a pretty safe top lane overall for Moryu.
It's also worth mentioning that Ming has taken Unsealed Spellbook on the Ornn and just smited that minion. I was very confused for a second.
Yeah. Ornn as a pick, I feel like he's just so powerful in that bot lane. You get the... There's not a single champion I can think of that really has a triple knockup. Like, most champions would be happy if they had 2. He has 3.
That is true, actually. Like, in terms of knockups, he does have, he has a bunch. Like, most champions have multiple forms of CC in, like, the support role, such as Thresh, but I guess Thresh would be the closest, because he's got a displace on his Q, a displace on his E.
Yeah. But I feel like Ornn's even better because he has that point where he's too difficult to kill.
Yeah.
So far, I really like RNG's compositions. They have the Vladimir and the Rumble into double immobile carries from TOP. So if we were talking about the mid to late game team fights, it's actually going to be very difficult for both Cho and Goon to survive the same team fight. And Moryu's kind of in the same position as well. A lot of these carries, they have difficulties against Camille if they can be locked in that Hextech ultimatum and the equalizer coming down, and you have a Vladimir in the team fight. I don't really see how all 3 of them survive that.
I mean, one of them's going to survive because they've got Cat on Tam Kench, but the rest of them, not long for this world. We've got a small invade coming out from top, though, onto this blue buff. It's going to be smited away by XX, but Zhao, who is rotating, a flash away. MLXG almost got on top of his face. So top will get out alive with the blue buff, but down the flash.
Yep, still good play coming in here. Again, leveraging that bot lane. We talk a lot about Abel in our first day opening of the LPL. He's really known for these Twitch and Kog'Maw picks. He was a big early adopter of the what's the precision mastery that gives you extra attack speed? A lethal temple.
Yep.
He used that a lot before when everyone was still going on to press the attack. So that's mainly what he's known for. This is going to be one of the first times we actually see his Ezreal. Wonder how that's going to pan out.
So far, it's doing okay, is as far as I would go, because Choo was actually ahead in the farm, even though they got the gank down there as well. It looked like they were pushing in, so maybe it was just the fact that he was poking so much with Q, didn't get a bunch of minions during the laning phase, but the fact he's actually more than 2 waves down is surprising.
Yeah, and Cho, he's one of the 80 carries where we felt like his champion pool might be a problem, but still has that Varus. Seeing the invade coming in.
Actually gets it. Will hook shot away. Moyu also came down in case there was an engagement, but it's now evened up on the blue buffs.
Yep. RNG would actually be stronger in that skirmish, but Goon decided to sacrifice some of his minion wave to go over there to the left side of the map to help his teammates out. So that turns out fine for TOP there.
Yeah, he's already losing in terms of farm anyways. Zhao, who's constantly just pushing this one in. He's gone for the stopwatch, as per usual. And surprisingly, there's not as many stopwatches in this game as we usually have, especially in the LPL. We love our stopwatches. But some teams are moving away from them. WE yesterday actually did not take any at all in their final game.
It's definitely more of an inspiration thing. See if you're going to go in that tree. If you're going in that tree, the chances are you're likely taking stopwatch.
But the funny thing was some of them were going inspiration but taking some of the other options as well, like Minion Materializer, for example. But yeah, they're also trying different options. But to be honest, it's still week 1 of every league in the world, so people are still trying to figure out what's optimal on their champions, like what's going to work in the game as well. And especially it being situational, because I'm sure a lot of players change what they're going towards as soon as the final clock is ticking.
Yep. Much. I'm really interested on where TOP is going to find an advantage on the map, because pure laning phase did not suit their composition very well. I feel like if they go into the mid-late game, RNG's composition, just in terms of team fights, is far superior. So they're really going to have to leverage this Sejuani ult and try to get one of the lanes really rolling early.
Speaking of Sejuani, it's actually just soloing the dragon here, because they have complete control over the river in terms of vision. There's nothing that RNG can do about it. He didn't even know it was happening. So XX will get his first dragon of the game. It's Ocean as well, which is quite nice in the laning phase.
Yep. XX recognizing that both his mid and bot lane are pushing lanes, just going in solo for that Drake right there. Good map read.
But aside from that, when are RNG going to start turning online looking for fights? Because you have a Rumble comp, so typically it's like, I've got my double penetration items, we're going to go in at this next dragon.
Well, the thing is, I don't feel like they're being pressured to do anything. They can just hold out and wait. The laning phase, like nothing happening in the laning phase is actually perfectly fine for them. So, do they really need to like make things happen? Yeah, they're pretty much just in a defensive posture and make sure this Rumble can constantly push in, make sure the bot lane is not going to die to a dive or a Sejuani gank. And I feel like they're just fine with this current setup.
Especially because it is RNG we're talking about, because then you add the context of it being RNG against top, and you typically look towards the players of RNG and say they outclass them in terms of mechanics when you get to those team fights. So I'm now looking towards top, because so far they've done a good job, but it's not like their opponent has been necessary aggro as Zhao, who places down the Hemo Plague on top of Guang. Gets a bunch of health back. Looking to clear the wave.
Just looking for a single back right now. And we can see what items Xiaohu picks up for the mid lane. We've been seeing a lot of they call it the salary items here in China.
Salary items.
Yeah, salary items. So the free GP10 regenerations. He's actually going for a more aggressive build right here. Straight proto belt.
It's been a while since I've seen Vladimir just go straight up proto belt. Because it was that as soon as Vladimir came into the meta, it was everyone went proto belt. Then it was like, oh, Spirit Visage, fantastic, or just another tank item. But he's actually gone back here.
It's very interesting. This is signaling that Xiaohu feels like there might be a big team fight incoming from TOP's side, so you want that extra strength.
Ooh, Moyu aggressing on Letme. He places down the equalizer, forcing Moyu into the bush, and XX completely whiffing the ultimate. Letme decided to go in though, so he's probably going to die for his troubles. Flashes away into the Zhonya's hourglass.
Dodges the stun.
And he's dead, but here comes Cat and Choo Choo as well to close the noose. And that's first blood to top.
Yeah, and we can see some of the remnants of how Top started their previous season 4-0. They were really known for this type of lane swap plays. Let's watch, can Goon survive this?
Absolutely
look like
not.
It.
However, it's a question of whether both of these players get out of live, and Zhao, he's going to tank the tower for him, so they're good on that end. But this kill on the top lane is being converted into a tower, whereas on the opposite side of the map, Abel's trying to do what he can here, but there's another minion wave way far back behind him. So Top's actually going to pick up the kill and the tower.
Yeah, that's a very good leverage of a pushing bot lane right there. Also, in the middle, we could see from MLXG, that's one of the reasons why Camille is such a favored jungle pick, is because you can juggle tower aggro very easily when you go into your Hextech ultimatum.
Yeah, makes you untargetable, but now he doesn't have that for this trade against XX, who is trying to take away the red buff. Letme's coming down from top lane. Cat is here to assist the getaway driver. He's going to hop over the wall. The Herald might be on the docket for them. Mid lane's only now just coming back in to play, so no, Cat will go back to base. Abel just lost
huge
most of his health. Moyu flashing into Abel, forces the flash out from Abel himself.
Yeah, and I actually really like the gangplank into the Ezreal matchup. Now, most of people think like Ezreal is kind of a poke champion, but he still needs the auto attacks.
But here comes the punish. MLXG down into the bottom lane, tactical sweep, and he is very much a dead man.
Overstayed his welcome. They didn't have enough vision on the bottom side of the map. Camille sweeps in for a very clean kill there.
Yep, it was good up until it wasn't. Wanted to see him just back away from that play because Top, it's like step 1 is definitely there for them, but then step 2 usually isn't. Because as soon as they get that step 2 down, then I think Top could actually challenge a lot of these teams in the early game, because the fact that they got that kill into a tower was perfect for them.
Yeah, exactly. They just needed Mori to play further back. They didn't have vision of the bot side. Play kind of conservatively, and that would be all fine for them. Now I feel like the next big objective of contestation should be this Herald buff. Both sides are going to look for this, especially I feel like TOP, now that they have that Triforce completed already on that Gangplank, they can actually do a lot of damage. And we also know that Gangplank is really a really great champion to play around those vision edges around this riverside when the enemy needs to walk in.
We are hitting spikes across the board. It was the double down into the Leandries from Let Me, still sitting on his magical footwear. He's picked up a Phoenix Codex as well. So both teams are in fighting shape. I probably would still give it over to RNG though, just ever so slightly, mainly because of the Proto Belt that was picked up by Xiaohu.
Well, this is kind of the dream situation for Gangplank, kind of like he was never tower dove in the top lane, easily got his Triforce at 13 minutes, which is incredibly early. And I think they will be able to leverage just that lead and kind of bring it into the top lane there. Even though Gangplank wasn't here, his ult is still up for this engagement.
Xiaohu just getting linked up there, plus the slow from Cat. Proto to not safety, gets gobbled up, spat into the team. Sanguine Pool will keep him healthy for a couple more seconds. In comes the Ram. That gets a knock up on the bottom side of the fight, but Top pretty much just want to disengage here. They got their Herald, that's all they really need.
Yep. RNG able to escape with the help of Ming's ultimate right there.
That's pretty much that. Top are honestly just getting objectives for free, and I know that, Clement, you said that RNG are going into this defensive stance, but it feels like they're giving up a lot.
They certainly are, and the next big objective for them is kind of the mid lane right now. I feel like they have to make a big play just to defend this objective. If they let that mid lane go down, I feel like the ball's really in Top's court from then on. Statistically, if you take the first 3 outer turrets first, your win rate goes up to about 70%.
But then you add in the factor of the fact that Top seems to be cursed. Have not won a game
Saps don't lie, man. I mean, if you take your first 3 towers, it's still a huge boon to the team. So, and now they have the Herald. They're definitely going to look for that push.
Now RNG attempting to go for this dragon. Has been spotted by that ward down from Top. And XX, he might be able to go for a hit and run because Cat's over the wall.
Don't
Looking
think
for
they
the
should
smite.
try to fight this.
Get me out! All right, we're
Yep.
good.
That was really smartly played. They were down an ultimate from the cannon barrage, so they were just looking for that chance steal. Didn't get it, backed out safe, so great play there.
Yeah, pretty much no downside, just to shove Sejuani over the wall and give it a shot.
That's a great idea for the over-the-wall Devourer right there.
Now pretty much just waiting on the next fight. There's no big objective for a while. As you said, mid lane's going to be essentially the point of contest for both teams, but Herald, still waiting for that one to go down. It's in the hands of XX.
Yep, it's already down to half the timer. Next big team fight is going to happen middle. If TOP can get that mid turret, I actually think they're in a very good position for this game, but RNG is going to be looking for that fight. So what you want to watch is how far Xiaohu can get the lane pushing in the bot lane, and if he can get that back line flank with his Proto Belt.
Meanwhile, Moyu back in the top lane, just farming away. He's got the very early Triforce. Even went for the Ancient Coin on top of that, so just kind of expecting to join up with his team a bunch, I guess.
It's definitely been a good game for Gangplank. Was not harassed at all. We've actually seen the magical footwear when you bring that and you get ganked before 10 minutes and you can't run away from the Rumble. That's one of the worst feelings in the world. He managed to avoid all of that, and he's sitting pretty now. Yeah,
it was literally just that one gank earlier. And now he's been sitting pretty. So this is a great game for Gangplank. And pretty much anyone who wants to farm, including Xiaohu. It's just a waiting game. I'm also waiting for the Varus to really turn online, because he's got the Guinsoo's. So he's gotten over that hump, but that was a relatively safe pick into the Ezreal. That was picked after the Varus.
Right, and we see that they're definitely setting up for that big mid push right now. So Abel really has to move his position into the mid lane. So does Let Me.
Abel. He's actually gone ahead and farm now. I'm wondering where he picked up all that farm, because he was definitely down 2 waves, and now he's up by at least 3.
Yeah, Abel's able to split push against Mori for a while in the bot lane, while Varus was taking towers with the rest of his team.
Here's the Herald going down into bottom lane. Ming's in river. That's not going to be spotted by RNG. Choo Choo's already here, so it'll be 3 on 2 from what I can see.
Yeah, it's kind of
Mid
disappointing
lane,
when they
trying to
get
make something
mid.
happen though. In comes the equalizer. Xiaohu falling down to Gung, and he should be dead here. Needs 1 more transfusion, and Xiaohu will run it back into the mid lane. And will probably take the mid lane on top of this unless Moyu can get there in time. Bot lane's going to be traded, but I mean honestly, mid lane is what counts in this scenario.
Yeah, so that turn of events was definitely in favor of RNG right there. They traded the mid lane for the bot lane tower, and that's always better strategically for RNG. And they also got a kill on top of that. I feel like Top kind of missed a couple opportunities there. They had a lot of control over the mid lane, and they also had Abel and Let Me in the side lanes. They had a clear path of attack in that. Didn't really take it, and instead opted for the less favorable trade in the bot lane.
I guess they went for the quote-unquote safer option of something like, oh, we can just shove it in the bot lane, and because we have numbers advantage, we'll take it, no worries. But you've got to know that RNG are going to make a counter-attack somewhere. They've already dived mid lane. You know it's super easy for them to juggle tower aggro. And whether that's a Gung thing or it's a Top thing, that's really where you start to see the differences between RNG and Top.
Yeah, and this kill is actually very crucial for Xiaohu. There really comes that point where Orianna can no longer keep Vladimir at bay, and with a kill and an assist on his score record already, I feel like Xiaohu is going to be able to start his split pushing quite uncontested. There really isn't a member on TOP that can stop Xiaohu.
And it's only going to get worse. It's not like Vladimir scales off, so it's going to be a problem that Top will have to think about for the rest of this game. And for now, Top will still get a bunch of vision advances in the top side. So they'll see Xiaohu if he starts rotating towards this mid lane. Though it's really now this mid lane that's become the pivot point for RNG. They can move into the top side, the bottom side, and start setting up for these next towers, or even get around these next objectives. Next dragon is Cloud, but still that should go over to them as long as they maintain control.
Right, and they're now going into kind of a half-court mode. This is a term that Aaron uses a lot of in his cast, where they're trying to move all of the members and overload them on the top side of the map, kind of force a fight where TOP have to run into them. Now, with Gangplank, you want the enemy team to run into you. If TOP needs to engage on the enemy team, I actually don't feel their composition really supports that well. And especially in this jungle type of area where Rumble can get a great equalizer down, it's going to be very difficult if they lose control of this section. So you can see TOP members trying to push out the mid lane, funnel into the river through that side lane brush right there. Make sure RNG cannot grab an iron grip on that sector.
So in terms of when Top want to do something, should they contest next dragon? Should they be looking to contest right now? Because they're starting to hit double item spikes across the board. That was Essence Reaver for Moyu. Bottom lane just picked up the Wit's End. Mid lane is starting to farm up as well.
Frankly, their best type of scenario is kind of a sieging fight where they can engage enemies from one direction. If MLXG and Xiaohu are able to get flanks on their compositions, I don't think they can protect all of their carries. There's 3 of them with 0 mobility, so that's going to be very difficult. You really want to close down your side lanes and your flanking opportunities by doing a siege, but if you have Xiaohu already in this split push kind of mode, it's kind of difficult to see where they're going to get an advantage. I feel like their best play might be to get a lane gank, but that's actually happening to them right now.
It's happening to Moyu on the bottom side. Exec Ultimatum, just a fish in a barrel. Another kill over to RNG, a nice pick in the bot side.
Yeah, very easy play there for MLXG. He's also going for that Triforce. Typically, Camille, the problem with this champion is that you need to get some sort of an edge to really sustain your own build, but he's doing fine right now. 1-0 and 2 and going to that Triforce.
On the flip side, Moyu is still firing up. Like, yes, he died there, but it's a gangplank. He gets bigger. Next dragon's going to be Ocean. RNG was able to leverage the kill on the bot side onto Moyu into the dragon. But it's always something that you have to think about as you get later into the game, especially when it's like 3-item GP, 4-item GP, and he starts one-popping your carries.
Yeah, this is actually a really interesting build coming out from Gangplank right now. We're seeing the Essence Reaver being picked up. It's more of a crit build, so this is going to make his Qs hurt a lot more and be better at the split pushing side of things, but in terms of dealing damage to targets like Rumble or Abel, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So this is more like it's a more steady build. You're not so dependent on your barrels landing. I'm kind of interested why he's going to go into this build and if he's going to try to continue to split push, because so far it hasn't really worked out for him.
MLXG attempting to contest the red. I mean, MLXG is just trying to contest everything right now, but that was a big crit on the Q, so it does do damage. I can tell you that, Clement.
Definitely does. It's more of a split push oriented type of build. The main way that TOP is going to get back into the game, I really feel, is a gank coming from an XX. He really needs to find the time when RNG members are split up and try to force the issue with his ultimate.
Well, this is what you were talking about, the kind of sieging angle that Top want, kind of front to back, but MLXG always on the side looking for a flank.
Yeah, they really should have done this play when they had the Herald. I'm not so sure about the bot lane trade where they showed 3 members super early and RNG was able to get their lanes, able to get lane priority, especially for the Rumble. So this is kind of a late move that they should have been trying to pulling up at better opportunities, but let's see how it works right now. The problem now is that Xiaohu is going to be coming in from the side with Ghost and also his Proto Belt, so they're going to have to be very aware of that.
I mean, they're very much stagnated because there's too much wave clear on the side of RNG. They've barely scratched the mid lane tower. So now Top have to go back to the drawing board, in which they've gone to the top side. They were like, maybe we get Xiaohu. Actually, to be honest, Xiaohu probably would have killed both of them.
That's actually true.
At least they've gotten the minion wave. And they've essentially just gone back to farming. But it's when does this work for them? You know, it's like they group up, it doesn't work. Okay, we'll go back to farming. They group up, it doesn't work, and it's just the cycle continues.
It's
and
not a very easy composition to force the issue, basically. They can try on the next team fight, but even then, I don't feel like they have a really good chance of winning it. Also, burning a Ghost from Vladimir doesn't really matter now that he has the Ionian boots. That cooldown is only 108 seconds, so not much of a loss for Xiaohu at all.
It's getting to the point where it's playing to not lose versus playing to win for Top. I'm not actually sure if I've seen Choo hit anybody this entire game yet. Because I've seen him get 2 items without him actually hitting a champion. So he might hit very hard, but I don't know, and I don't know if they know either.
Yeah, TOP is not going to get much out of RNG's current allocation of players. They're putting Let Me with the group.
And Moyu again is getting caught out. And this time it was in the mid lane, right next to his team. That's also problematic.
TOP thought that they saw Let Me backing and want to get some vision around that area. Did not pan out for them.
As you said, it's a difficult composition to work, but at some point you just kind of need to do something. Because the longer this game goes, RNG is just going to engage on you and then start sieging, and Xiaohu's going to be a monster, one-shot your entire team.
Seeing 1v1 come out here. Not much happening.
If you were the shot caller on top, what would you say right now, Clement?
If I could go back in time, that would help more.
If you could go back in time as well. All right, say you're out on a time traveler, and you're put in this situation where you're behind, you have a hard comp to execute.
You siege mid with Herald, you have Cat, so you can do the Abyssal Voyage behind the tower and then pick up the bot lane. I felt like that was the main play that they kind of missed for TOP and could have snowballed them into a much better situation. If this composition was sieging, let's watch this team fight come in first.
This is a potential pick here. Min getting caught out. He goes down, but Abel cutting around the back line. In comes Xiaohu. A massive ultimate will decimate the front line, and everybody is now scattered from top. XX running it back for the Arctic Assault, but in comes MLXG flying from the sidelines. A flash onto Moyu. The Hextale ultimatum, making a triple kill for him. Xiaohu chasing down Cat, gets the Ties of Blood down. It should be a transfusion for the kill, and Cat is essentially delaying the inevitable. MLXG wanted his Quadra.
Yep, and this is the reason why you can't fight in open ground against RNG's composition. They had a 5v4 scenario where they took down Ming and his ultimate, but still lost. Xiaohu coming in was able to deal enough damage to basically kill Goon and Chocho on the same rotation.
And it just feels bad because we were waiting for this to happen for the last, I would say, 15 minutes of this game. We were like, well, at some point RNG's just gonna win a fight, take a Baron, and then run it down mid. And that's essentially game 1. I just wanted to see that from top, and we keep harping on. We sound like a broken record at this point, Clement, but I totally agree with you. The play needed to happen when top found the advantage in the Rift Herald.
Yeah, because this composition, it really can't deal with threats coming in from different directions. There's too many vulnerable carries that they need to protect, and we're going to see it, the team fight again in 3D view.
So start off with Min getting caught. You're like, excellent. The support's down. His ultimate's okay, but then it's the layering of ultimates.
Flash E onto both of the carries at the same time. Did you see how much damage he did to both of them?
Yep.
Basically insta-killed both of them.
I mean, this is essentially a wombo combo comp, and as soon as you get onto open grounds and Camille can just fly all over the map, then she's going to track down everybody in a losing fight.
Yep, so the next turning point for TOP, I feel like, is kind of a defensive posture. See if they can funnel RNG coming in from the same direction. They have MLXG right now, though.
Yeah, they've caught out MLXG, placed down the ultimatum, but it looks like he's the one trapped. Been in the mid lane, everyone is sieging, so MLXG will die, but this actually might be an inhibitor tower, if not an inhibitor itself, over to RNG because he was drawing the attention of the entire team of top.
The sacrificial hot pot play, and this leads them straight towards the enemy blue buff, and they can actually continue to push here in the top lane.
The fact that you can just run into the jungle and come and get me, and we'll just take your mid lane, look towards the top lane, try and siege, but to be honest, RNG have enough time, I think, on the Baron just to wait for MLXG to come back up and rinse and repeat.
Yep. To be fair, that was not a good play from MLXG.
What are you talking about? It worked out. They got the mid lane tower.
Well, I don't think he really needed to die there. They definitely could have taken a couple more towers with him alive at this point.
100%. And top will get a consolation prize. It's the outer mid lane tower. So good timing on that play. Dragon is also up, so top might be able to swing by and nuke it.
We haven't even seen the best combo that RNG can pull off, so we haven't seen the equalizer into the Hexapec ultimatum with Xiaohu flanking. That's going to be spectacular to watch, and I wonder how long TOP's composition can survive that.
I mean, to be honest, the mid lane fight, or rather the one in the upper river, looked very similar to that. Xiaohu jumping over the wall with Splash.
Yeah, they were just missing the equalizer. That landed that on top, it was like, instant.
I'm sure RNG can do it, and it's... if that was the result from the earlier play and that didn't happen, then I don't even want to see what happens if he does land the equalizer. And it just comes across. It's going to MXG soloing the Dragon as well, and it just seems like a battle of the inevitable for top for the rest of this game. And I look towards game 2, and it's just like they had step 1 in pretty much all of their plays, not just around the Rift Herald, but in bot lane as well. They got step 1, they got the kill, but it never really converted into anything aside from that first blood tower.
Yeah, the composition TOP is playing is really reliant on tempo, so you need to keep the pressure up at all points with the Varus push, and try to get like towers after towers after towers, but instead in the mid game they kind of traded objectives and they didn't set themselves up for the best scenario for their composition to work, and fighting in open ground is just a big no-no for them.
Do you think that top should actually go for a more straightforward composition, something where they can actually just group up, look for team fights, play it very bog standard instead of forced to play these situations out? As I'm just looking at MLXG flying across the map.
It's a difficult macro composition that TOP needs to play right here, but I can kind of understand the idea. They actually had a lot of good lanes. Let's see the engage come in here.
Yep, Min getting caught out, but he is very tanky even for a support. In comes the ultimate, and this is going to be a big knock-up onto 3 players, popping the spell shield as well. MLXG onto the backline, and in comes Xiaohu with the flank. The only thing now is the equalizer that was placed at the start of the fight, and Choo Choo very much in no man's land. Cat getting caught out on the final part of that fight, and it's just a clean ace, a 5-0, not even remotely close, and RNG will just run it down mid. They've got minions here, they can tank the towers, it's not even going to matter. 32 minutes on the clock, and RNG, it almost felt too easy for them as they knock down the final Nexus turret and take down the Nexus itself. Game 1 will go to RNG.
And what a clean game here coming from RNG. I feel like